Let's start with the feet together and our hands on top of our heads for twirling waist. And again, for that small twirling waist, the first of the sets, working to roll around that base, hitting each part of the foot, gradually increasing the size of the roll as we go. And two more. Good, changing directions. Beginning once more with that focus on the feet. Rolling all the way around that base, increasing the movements to the hips. And two more. Good, stepping out. Your body fanning, drawing the belly towards the back, gripping the ground slightly with the feet, drawing the back forward from the hips, and then up, keeping the back straight the whole time. Good. For more of a challenge, bring the hands to the chest center. And more still, behind the ears. Two more. Very nice. Narrowing that base a little bit. Pushing into the ground as we sink. Maintain that press as we lift and draw back. And one more. Good, stepping out, returning the waist, back straight. If you can manage it straight and parallel with the ground. As you twist, I'll turn side view so you can see. We want to get to the point where we're looking past the ankle, stretch, and then drawing back across, turning, looking, reaching, and back across. And as we move, make sure we're gripping onto the ground just a little with the feet. We want that feeling of stability traveling through our legs. And one more. Good. Narrowing that stance a bit. And now for big frame twisting waist, rolling around that base, getting comfortable hitting each region of the foot as you do. Once the roll feels comfortable, you can add in the drop through. And two more. And changing direction. Find that base. And add in that deeper roll. 2 more. Very nice. Bringing the feet together, hands resting atop the knees, and rolling the base again. Changing directions. Forward, open, and back. Back, around, to forward. Good. Give the legs a little break. All right, stepping out to a medium stance, not so narrow on a tightrope, not so wide that's a strain, kind of a comfortable right about shoulder width. From here, we want to gently grab the ground with the feet, draw the belly to the spine, sink down just a little so there's a little bit of crease in the quad. The back is relaxed, not drawn under, not lordosis. Concavity in the chest, all the usual. From here, we're going to hold that frame in the base. This is a little different. We're not going to be rolling with the movement. We're going to still the center and have all of our movement start from the top of the pelvis up. So that yow region, that region that crosses from the lower border of the ribs to the top of the pelvis is going to control the roll as the arms raise and fall. In the beginning, nice and slow. It's almost like a combination of just a front crawl stroke in swimming and rolling a great big ball diagonally in front of your body. So you want that feeling of extension and reach through the arms as they draw out and forward, but also maintain that little bit of roundness. You can carry that arc back to the hip and travel to the other side. We want to still that base so we can feel how this movement begins to echo and reflect in our back and torso and not have it all diffuse out through the legs. We want to feel those muscular connections that help support our arms. As this roll becomes a little more natural, you can make it more interesting by watching the hands as they rise. So the hands fall, my eyes track up and over, my eyes track up and over. And this turning of the head and neck will also create a turn down the spine and again make it easier to identify those deeper structures. Let's do 50 more, your own pace. And 2 more. Good. Okay. After this, we're going to start working on our step out, focusing on that feeling of roll in the dantian. From there, we're going to try to combine these movements either with the Taiji ruler if you have one, or with empty hand if you don't. We can do variations for each. I'll play some of the fun principles that Daryl taught me over the weekend. Sound good? Sunday was the weirdest day, Craig. Awesome Daryl lesson for 2 hours, great conversation, all kinds of wonderful social issues, and then I get in a sword fight that evening. Weirdest day. Okay, so we're back to here. I almost kept it bloodless. So we want to get this movement for the step out. So as we get the feet together, watching me first, sinking the weight evenly through the feet. As I grab the ground with the toes, the legs engage, belly draws the pelvis into form, knitting the clavicle, gives space in the chest, drawing up through to the press. Okay, so all get to the point where we're lifting and pressing into our leg that we're going to brace with. So it's going to be your left leg that we're pushing into the ground. Feel that press through the entirety of your left foot, not just the heel, not the ball of the foot inside or out, but all 4 quadrants of the foot pressing into the ground. And as you increase that feeling of pressure, pay attention to other regions of your body, Sophie, that start to feel engaged with that press, okay? So again, if my belly isn't engaged out, I might only feel a little bit of press on the outside of my hips, but nothing's gonna make it into my torso. As I draw that belly into form, by that I mean nice and neutral, as I press down, I can start to feel a bit of a stretch up the QRLs, the quadratus lumborum muscle, the paraspinal, the lumbar spine. From there, I can engage that clavicle mitt, and all of a sudden that stretch enters into my stomach. And once I can feel that stretch in my stomach, now I've kind of tapped into that dantian from that pressing leg, and I can maneuver around it to create shape, okay? So play with that for a moment, pressing in with your left leg, belly drawn, clavicles knit. Try to feel that press radiate up. If it's getting stuck, make sure your head neck is lifting, so that stretch is a place to go as it travels up and through. Good. Let that left shoulder sink towards your right hip just a little. Imagine as a string tying hip to shoulder, and as you raise, feel the raise of that hip drawing through the belly. Go slow, about twice as slow as you want to. And feel how every degree of that drawing back with the shoulder is reflected to that middle and creates a sense of stable raise in the hip that's lifting. Also notice how it further increases that press into your base left leg, setting the foot back down. Once more, that shoulder assist. Keep that cable taut as the shoulder raises nice and slow. The hip lifts up, setting back down with the shoulder, and then bring your torso back to neutral. Maintain that belly draw so that feeling of engagement, a track that you've just used over and over again to raise the leg up, is still lighting just a little bit. And then following that muscle memory, engage the belly without moving the shoulder, raise the leg just a little from the stomach. That little bit of dantian rolling back like it's tightening a spool of thread, drawing the hip up. And now from here, we're going to continue that analogy of the spool of thread, wrapping up. And as it does, we're drawing upward through the belly, the leg raises a little bit higher. We draw it back, the leg raises even more from the hip. From here, we start to draw down through those paraspinals. As we do, the body sinks a little, but the leg continues to raise as we enter into our hamstring. From here, put your hand in your belly and make nice, slow circles. Again, we're going to try to feel out what muscles in the belly are responding to this movement. Great big circles, nice and slow. Really feel how the belly changes to support the leg. Good. Stilling the leg. Remembering that belly roll. Rolling the hip out, following that belly roll. Find the ground. Pull the weight. Good. Continue that draw. And as we do, pressing into the ground through all four quadrants of now your right leg, drawing the belly to the spine to maintain that strong structure, raising the head, neck, and knitting the clavicles. Feel that pull cross body, shoulder to hip. As you slowly raise that hip, feel the belly act to support that lift, lifting from the middle. As soon as that big toe leaves the ground, push a little more with that head and foot, and then begin that spool, drawing up, back, through the paraspinals, down to the hamstrings, and then uncoil as the foot rests. Good. We do one to the other side, and we're going to carry this into a more full body roll. Once again, this time pulling out of your left hip, drawing across, pressing into your right. Umbilicus draws the spine, clavicles knit, head, neck raises. Imagine once more that line connecting shoulder to hip, moving nice and slow as that cord shortens, the hip raises, feeling the belly engage to lift that hip ever so slightly off the ground. That diagonal first lift, we now spool the dantian up, back, and down. Imagine the belly pulling the knee, but don't actually move. And then follow that movement you just described in your mind as you step out. Pulling your middle under the floorboards. Pulling your middle into your left leg. Maintaining that feeling of press to lift between the foot and the head. Maintain that feeling of umbilical draw. And as the umbilicus really comes online, that right leg will begin to dislodge. Play with that shortening of that cord, drawing the foot up until the toe barely leaves the ground, and then wrap that spool, drawing in, behind, down, unwrapping to settle. Good, take a moment, get a quick sip of water if you want to. Do some ruler in just a moment here. And so Joanna, as I'm describing movements with the ruler, we're gonna work on just moving that same kind of shape without the tool, okay? I think the same kind of workout in terms of the directionality and the stick online in future classes. This will be kind of the framework to play with that. That also works. That is a lovely stick for Taiji ruler. Well done. That one, yep. All right. Yes, Pam.
I think Craig is making one right now with some rolled up newspaper, and he's going to bring that over to show. Anyone who doesn't have one could do this with the paper. I think he'll be right here in a second.
Sweet. Hey, you.
Hey.
How's it going?
Looking for his stool that's in a chair, black one.
His stool.
His stool.
Did you lose his stool?
Stool.
It's Jane. He takes his favorite things everywhere. You good? All right. So the basic point of Taiji ruler. I'll go Craig in a second. Sorry. Sweet. Awesome. Roll-up paper also works perfect. So the basic idea here is we're trying to create a reflection of the movement in that lower abdomen dantian space with the ruler. And so it's not just if I do one of our basic exercises, roll to reach. It's not a shoulder exercise like I'm modeling here. I'm not just rolling to side to side. That's the patterning. That's not the point where I'm initiating the movement from. It's not coming from my shoulder. Ideally, I want to still my body, relax my stance. I'll explain all of this in a moment. And then as the belly rolls, the reach follows. So I'm pulling in with my belly ever so slightly, rolling the belly around, pushing with this would be your right part, drawing in with your left part, reaching that left part around. And then as I stretch, I'm only stretching so far as I can feel this movement in my stomach. If I reach beyond the point where I have a belly connection, now it's a purely shoulder movement and I've lost the whole central thesis of why I'm doing this. Does that make sense to everybody? Awesome. So start with the stance first, then we'll break it down the mechanics of the roll and then the internal mechanics after that. And so for our stance, once more we want the feet a bit beyond shoulder. The toes gently grip the ground. All of our basic postural elements are still here. Belly draw, clavicle knit, head, neck raise. But one of the really important pieces that we don't often use is there's a slight sink. We want to be in a true middle stance. So deep enough that we feel a little bit of muscular engagement in our quads, not so deep that our knees are angry or our quads are burning from first moment, okay? It's a depth of stance that is initially tolerable, bordering uncomfortable, but over time becomes fatiguing, all right? From there, we're gonna make really sure that we're creasing at the hips and drawing the belly to the spine. If my pelvis isn't in neutral, my pelvis is back at all, all this weight drops into my knees, and the dantian is inaccessible, right? The back is doing too much, the belly is doing too little. I can't feel anything in that middle area. And so with those hips on line, the stance slightly sunk, I now have access to the belly, and the legs are engaged, allowing me to pull from the ground to better inform this movement. Make sense to everybody so far? Yeah, great. Get timer going. Okay, the arm movement we're playing with is a fold, and then the bottom hand reaches. The bottom hand pivots in, unfold, fold with the other hand on the bottom, and the bottom hand reaches. Unfold, one crease, roll, roll, and extend. Draw back in, neutral, left hand comes underneath, and then left hand continues to reach. Unfold, unfold, right hand comes underneath, right hand continues to reach. Fold, unfold, left hand under, left hand extend. Unfold and around. Right hand under, right hand extend. Back and back. Good, one more with me. Left under, left to reach, and then unfold. Now a couple more at your own pace. Good, Joanna. There you go. Fold to reach, good. Nice idea, Galen, very nice. Good, Kira. There you go, very good, Kira. Nice pace, April. You're already moving from that middle a little bit, very good. Good, Pam. And as you reach the side, Pam, the side with me, see how the top hand stays on the upper border of the elbow. It doesn't transfer back to front of that arm. It stays right back here. So you can see how my hand is up and over the extended arm. I'll demonstrate again. There's the roll. The hand stays behind as I roll to the side. That's it. Very good. Very good. Good, Joanna. Okay, so let's move this out a little bit. Everyone has that basic coordination down. And so now what we're going to play with is one smooth roll side to side. So watching me first, I round to reach. And I feel a little bit of stretch in my back. Because again, I'm not moving my hips to compensate for this. My hips are still, my shoulders are sunk and relaxed. And so I can really only turn so far if those two things are true. If my shoulders raise, I get more turn. If I twist my hips, I get more turn. But again, if my base is solid and my shoulders dropped, I have to stay in that fairly concave shape, all right? From here, back to the middle, let's go together. One smooth roll, one smooth reach, shoulders down, hips relaxed. Use that stretch in the back to gently carry the arm back in. One smooth roll, one smooth reach. Feel that stretch in the back, and that stretch carry you back in. One smooth roll, one smooth reach. Keep playing with this at your own pace. The back feeling should be a vague analog for the feeling you get with lion rolls ball over and over. The same kind of soreness through those paraspinals should be kind of dictating and setting parameters for this movement. Good, keep going at your own pace, nice and slow. One smooth roll, one smooth extension. Is Galen using an actual ruler? Okay, cool. Nice. Good. And now that the reach and the framing, it makes a bit more sense. Let's sink that stance just a little. That point again where we have that leg engagement, the belly draw is present, the hips are relaxed and even, and slowly moving that stable base. Take your time with the reach, feel that very slight stretch in your back and how it draws the arm back in. And as we unfold, go slow. Follow that full range of motion and pay attention to how your belly articulates to support your arms. That feeling of very, very slight articulation and engagement is the first little ping of Dantian roll. If you're feeling your belly pretty well, the next thing we want to do is feel how small movements in the belly can reflect up the body to guide the movements rolling through the chest and shoulders. Roll from the belly to reach. Roll from the belly. Good, continue like that for a few moments. We're gonna add in one more piece and then we'll change exercise with the ruler in just a second here. Good, Galen, try to keep that raised, the high shoulder a little lower as you reach, watching me. You see how if I come up, I overextend the draw. If the shoulder stays down, there's kind of a natural barrier to how far I can move. You can see it from the side body also. There you go. So you shouldn't have a bobbing up and down. All it should be one even plane.
Can you show me once more from the side?
Totally.
Okay, you're not coming out nearly as far as it looks.
Right.
Okay.
And it's all based on body feel. Again, I have some tightnesses that you might not have. That means I can only twist so far as it's opening up, right? And everyone's gonna have a little bit of a different final angle with that.
Okay.
Good. Very nice. And now here's the thing that Daryl taught me that is stupidly simple but blew my mind. And that is, in every stretch, imagine your whole body is yawning. You're creating space in every joint as you move out, okay? And again, really simple thing, but the body feel of it is just wonderful. So again, as I roll through, the belly is leading, the whole body yawns and opens, and then rolls back around and through, yawning, creating space in the joints as we stretch, drawing back through the belly around and in. Create space as we stretch. Roll the belly to pull and guide. Space to stretch. Belly pulls and guides. Good. There's no right or wrong pace. Too fast is a pace at which you lose the connection to your belly. Too slow is where it gets sloppy and kind of jolty. Good, Kira. There you go. So, Kira, the one thing I'll make sure you're doing is as I reach the side, see how the hand is still behind the elbow as I turn? If I come through here, it puts weird pressure on my wrist, and I don't get the same kind of stretch to that yow region. So I keep that hand behind the elbow as I draw back, and then it unhinges. It's hard to see on the other side as I come back around. See, once again, the hand's on the outside of the elbow and stays there as I turn. Very nice, Kira. Very nice. Good, Joanna. It's great for both being your first day and also the tool that you have. Good, everyone. Take a moment and give your arms some break. We're going to do a second set in just a moment here, and I'll just show really quickly getting your water. It's the roll to drop, roll to drop, okay? Give everybody just a few more moments to take a bit of a break. All right, everyone good to go? So the framework of this next one is identical to the last. Same hip alignment, same belly draw, same everything in the base. The upper body movement is a little bit different. So I'm going to demonstrate it. I'll break it down nice and slow. Then again, add in mechanics as we go along. Similar roll. Placing the hand in your pocket. Raise, roll, reach. Raise, roll, reach is the fundamental movement here. So we're going to start once more with the stick to neutral. Neutral again is relax between the palms. As I roll the right hand under, I then hinge down as opposed to out. Hinging up, back to neutral, left hand under, hinging down. Hinging up, neutral, right under, hand in right pocket. Hinge up, uncoil, in, left hand under, left hand down. Raise, uncoil, right hand under, right hand down. Raise, coil, left under. Go ahead, a couple more at your own pace to make sure everyone has the basic movement looking good. Very nice, Craig. Good, Pam. How you doing, April?
On the hand that's going downward, are you trying to retain like a cupping on the end, or are you letting your hand slip
Right, it's situational. And so to answer that question really quick, we'll get into more detail in just a moment here. As I roll under, I can either be working on a very relaxed grip, feeling that belly roll to drop, or I can be using this as almost an impact training drill, working on the Chi-Na, the joint lock application, as I grind the stick into my forearm as the grip increases, pressing down, raising up, back to hands at the end, hands come to the side of the stick, reaching down, drawing back up, hands bookending, hands on the sides of the stick, down and back up. Does that help?
I guess the short answer is it depends.
It depends. So pick one, play with it, pick another.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Good, Joanna. Good, April. That's right, Galen. Good, Kira. Yep. Folding around, in, and down. Good, good. And so the basic things we want to pay attention to for the second movement, for putting the stick in the pocket, is again identical to that basic, roll to reach that we were doing earlier. And those once more are that relaxing dropping of the shoulder, right? And not losing the connection to our waist. And so if I maintain the shoulder down and the belly drawn and go slow, I can feel that connection to my back. I can carry that connection down, drawing back up to the paraspinals, rolling through the belly, right? Drawing through and down, lifting through the paraspinals, rolling through the stomach, pressing through the back, lifting through the back, rolling through the belly, pressing through the back. And when I say belly or back, of course, there's some element of belly in the back and back in the belly, but that's the predominant area where the movement's taking place. Okay, so let's try to smooth it out now, starting from neutral, okay? Roll, left hand under, left hand to pocket. Raise, back to neutral, right hand under, right hand to pocket. And then one smooth roll, raise to neutral, left under, left pocket, raise to neutral. Right under to right pocket, raise to neutral. Left under to left pocket, raise to center, right under right pocket, and then a few more smooth on your own. Good. Any questions so far before we start adding in the more subtle movements? Okay, let's play. Beginning with our base, make sure it's a base that you're comfortable in, one where that belly draw is drawing you into your quads. Shoulders are relaxed. That clavicle knit is creating a concavity in the front, a convex shape in the back. Anytime I'm holding the stick at a midpoint of that round, so I'm not arcing too far back or reaching too far front, the stick is kind of a natural connection in the curve created by my clavicles. Again, with that belly gently drawn in, the stance comfortable and supportive, roll to reach. And notice how as I reach down, there's a slight sink as I press, accompanied by a raise as I roll, gather in the middle, stretch down the back, slight sink in the hips, raising the hips as the stick comes up, roll, sink. Keep those shoulders relaxed and down as you work, and you should begin to feel, or may begin to feel rather, some stretch to the paraspinal muscles. If you feel those, great. Hang out there for a little bit, study how that stretch changes at the different points in the cycle of the movement. From there, bring your focus to your belly draw. And try to feel that roll in the middle as a function of the belly. The belly directs that move. The rise and fall of the stick, that's paraspinal and legs. That horizontal roll is pretty much stomach. Legs and back, belly roll, and the body yawns. Raise to back, belly roll, body yawns as we stretch, creating space. We always want to make space in the moments of impact so the pressure doesn't hurt our structure and as much force can leave us as possible. Raise, belly roll, yawn to stretch. If you want to make this even more efficient for your training, as you stretch, twisting the ruler, rolling it into your forearm, and then smoothly rolling back around. Find that grip, twist into the forearm. Back around to the belly, reach. Back around, reach. Make sure your weight is even, you're not leaning forward, you're not leaning back, and keep going a few more times through.
Joe, can you show it from the side?
Absolutely. Good, Craig. And take a little more time on that twist and drop to make sure you're grinding a little into your forearm each time. Not enough to elicit a pain response, but enough that you can feel that tension and grip work happening. There you go. Good, good. Coordination's looking great, Pam. It's come a long way. Good, very nice. There you go, Kira. Roll, coil to reach. Good, Kira. That's great. That's great. Very, very nice, April. And awesome, Joanna. Okay, everyone, take a moment to catch your breath. Any questions on these first two sets? We're gonna do one more before we change gears.
You mentioned rolling the bar into your arm. Are you rolling it outward or inward?
Get the best view for this. There it is, pretty good. So as I reach down, the top hand is rolling in like this, and the bottom hand is rolling wrist towards forearm.
Okay.
And as I change sides, same thing. That twist in. Again, it's grinding along the bone. It can feel a little tender the first few weeks that you play with this, but if you do this 10 times a day, every day, in 2 months, you'll stop having any kind of pain in the arm and the bones just kind of adjust to it. It's like impact training on a tree. It's terrifying and terrible at first, but 4 months in, you barely feel the tree becomes really solid in your practice.
It's this with a stick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the whole point of this is that your partner or opponent, depending on the situation's forearm, is about the same size. And so you're learning all this maneuvering work so that when you get a hold of forearm, you know exactly how to maneuver around that structure, because in close range work, the thing you're most likely to get your hands on is a forearm. And so it really becomes really fun, both as kind of a projection of belly roll and also as a really nice, individual practice in a time when we don't have partners to play with. Great question, April. Any others? Okay, the last one we're going to do is aesthetically the most simple and, of course, deep mechanically the most complex, as it often goes. And this one, turn my camera in full view. Apologies, the basement is always less than ideal. Okay, that'll work fine now. So the idea here is all we're playing with is a roll. And we're going to start with a forward roll. And the problem with this movement and why it's so damn hard is there's nowhere to hide. It's either on or it's off, and there's no fancy movement to kind of shadow what's going on, right? It's just you're drawing a circle. It'll either be a round circle or an oval, and we're all trying to get circle, and that's tough. Okay, circle is hard. If I try to move my elbows, it's only ever going to be jolty because the elbows are not a very precise joint. If I move from the shoulders, it rounds out a little, because now I have both those joints working together. It's a bit more of a, a relaxed flow to the movement, but my belly still isn't involved. If I sink down just a little and draw that circle in my mind's eye and my stomach, and then trace that with the whole body, now the Taiji ruler begins to move smoothly. And as I bring it into that place, I start to feel a lot more movement, again, in those paraspinals, a lot more of that shape being ascribed and then created from that feeling of gentle roll in the abdomen. Good, playing with this nice and slow for a few more moments. I'll add in a bit of what the torso should be doing. Kira, is that your son? Awesome, hi, nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you.
That's Julius.
Awesome, nice to meet you, Joey.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome. All right, good. So from this roll, again, go slow enough that you can feel the back is at least an active participant. And there's something happening engagement-wise. That's a really good place to start. If you can't feel your back at all, it's hard to add too much more. And if you're not feeling your back at this point, it's probably because the umbilicus isn't sufficiently drawn to the spine and you're not into your quads. If you're out of your quads, it's easy to lose the back. If you're in your quads, the back should be right there to back you up. Good. As we raise up, the body raises slightly. As we reach forward, the body reaches back slightly. Sink, the body sinks, drawing in, belly comes to the hands as we arc up. Belly sinks, body sinks. So you see how body goes back, hands go forward, drawing up. I make it very big circle and easy to see. This is the kind of movement that we're then playing with. As I slow it down and make it a little more subtle, the circle becomes smaller, but you can still see how both my body and the stick are rolling together to maintain shape. And now from here, reaching as we sink, drawing in as we raise. Body goes back as the stick goes forward. So a couple of these because they are intense. Reaching as we sink, drawing up to the middle as we raise. reach. Raise. Good, and 2 more on your own. Excellent. As you sink, maintain those postural elements. Good. Very nice, very nice. And now from here, once again, that more relaxed vertical posture, start playing with the opposite movement. And I'm just gonna be quiet for a couple moments here, and all of you play with this movement on your own. Feel what's happening in your back. Feel what's happening in the rest of your structure as you roll. Good, keep going for a couple more moments. Very nice, and very nice, Kira. I can see all the belly work that you're doing. It's a nice shape you're creating, and it's very consistent. Well done. This is a tough one. Good, okay, everyone. From this feeling of roll to lift, remember, as we reach out, the body rolls away, drawing in, belly comes closer to the stick, reaching, drawing up, reaching. Again, I'm going a fairly large circle here so it's easier to see. And then as I slow it down, I can put more attention into the hips because now I'm going slow enough to actually feel them. I can draw the belly to the back. So now I'm going slow enough where I can make that micro correction. There's a comfort in speed. There's also tremendous risk that you'll lose part of your postural alignment and just not even be aware of it because you're so focused on the flow of the movement. So again, periodically, it's really important, especially in the simple stuff, to slow down, go over whatever mental checklist you're playing with this month, and make sure that it's fitting into the framework of what you're doing. Good. And now from here, as I reach, I sink. Drawing in as I begin to raise. Rolling from the belly, but keeping that spine connected to the umbilicus as I reach. Drawing. Reach. Keep those shoulders relaxed. Actively pressing into the ground. And 2 more at your own pace. Reach to roll. Good. Excellent. Everyone, make sure you're respecting your knees, respecting your backs. Only sink down so far as feels good to you. Wonderful. And take a breather. Nicely done. That's the end of our ruler work for today. There's still a bunch of stuff we'll play with later on grip work with opening and closing of the quad and shoulders. It's a ton of fun. But I want to save some stuff for tomorrow. Any questions on the exercises we did today? There you go, April. Good. Good. Is ruler interesting to all of you? Is this kind of work useful? Yeah? Excellent, excellent.
I started to feel more of how my belly was moving because of the exercises today.
That's perfect. That's perfect. As I mentioned earlier, Daryl and I hung out for a little over 2 hours, but we really only trained about 25, 30 minutes of it because the rest of the time we were just talking about, theory and mechanics. And it was the best Kung Fu experience I've had since Beijing. So I am so happy that in his busy life, he's making time to spend, 4 hours a month with me because that's just the most generous thing ever. If any of you ever have a chance to work with the man, you won't find a kinder master anywhere on the West Coast. Daryl is just the sweetest dude. and also, weirdly competent.
Except for you.
What's that?
Except for you.
He is 58. And if I train every day very hard, I can hope to maybe, be near that when I am 58. But I think it'll take every day of my next 20 years to get close to where he is. That he's just like, he's figured it out. He's done it really well. So,
Any advice for creating or obtaining a proper Taiji ruler?
Yeah. Certain hardware stores. Oh, Craig, yes.
The hardest thing to get is the round. So what you're going to want to do is figure out the diameter of the circle, right? The radius of the circle and the diameter of the circle, and make a mark. Excuse me. From the end of the ruler, make a mark that's the radius. That's down. You go down. You go down the radius of the circle. And then you can start, whatever you've got, whittling, sanding, it's fun. Again, make sure you've got enough stock to goof up a couple of them. And you'll find ways, if you've got a disc sander, or if you've got a drill, you can put a sanding disc in a drill, put the drill in a vise, so you've got a still disc, and you can just kind of watch that and just keep watching. You also want to have a center point. You want to know where the very top of that dome should be. It also helps to make a few smaller concentric circles if you've got a compass with a pencil. But the most important thing is you want that radius.
What do you start with? What do they buy to begin with?
Oh, I think that if you have a compass, like a drawing compass, that's a really good thing to have.
But you get the dowel ready to go
at a hardware store? Yeah, get the dowel ready to go at a hardware store.
It's like this tool here. I use it for Schweizer.
That'd be perfect. That's just perfect. And you can get at a hardware store, you're likely to find Douglas fir, which is going to be kind of loose and chunky. But you can go to the woodworker store, which is on Everett near 3rd, and they have maple that's an inch and a half diameter. I think they might have poplar that's 1 3/4 inches. So the thicker it is, the heavier it is, and it's easier to feel. Other woods, you'll probably, to make a round, you'll have to learn how to do that. Sometime I'd be happy to teach you how to make a round from a square. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard.
Okay.
The harder woods are absolutely superior. The cheap option, this is about $10-12, And so, yeah, like Craig is saying is absolutely right. Just, work on that round, kind of carve it in. But even with like a good thick grit sandpaper, kind of going down into to finer and finer taper, you can make enough of a round on even a dowel like this by hand sanding it that it won't feel too terrible in your hands as you're playing with it. And so, there are all kinds of measures you can take. I think you can even find Taiji rulers online, but I'm not sure exactly where you would go for that. Because I was lucky enough to have a Craig, design mine.
But you're better, you're better at this than you think you are. You've got a feel for round. If you start letting your hand with coarse sandpaper, you're going to start to feel that round into shape. And then have some finer sandpaper. At the end, it's really nice to take some wax, like a carnauba wax, paste wax, and wax the wood, and finish with some fine sandpaper around the top. That way you have a nice smooth top. And it rolls on your hand. It could roll within your palm without, abrading your skin. So, yeah, it'll be a fun project, really fun project to do. Yeah.
And it should be elbow to fingertip.
One classic cubit.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Any other questions on construction or ruler? Thank you, Craig. That's a wealth of information. And if it's okay with you, may I cut that clip of you speaking and put it online?
Absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, even better, we'll do a visual sometime.
Great. Great.
A visual of making one.
Yeah, so when I post online tomorrow, that way I can have that little snippet of you in the video, so people who were here today can, just double check that if they have questions on how to design their own. Awesome. So, any more questions on the ruler before we go to our last bit of standing meditation? Great job, everyone. Okay, so to finish up today, we're going to work on some classic Wuji holding post. Any kind of stance work can be unexpectedly intense. And so if you're not used to doing long duration stance holding, I'd recommend that you should take a break whenever you have even the slightest inclination that you should take a break. That way you can kind of keep track of how your knees and hips are doing and work into the longer duration holds over time. Okay? So as we begin, we'll start with the feet. Again, just a bit beyond shoulder width. The weight's relaxing through the foot. And as we sink down, we're going to try to do something that's often referred to as I'm staying in the back seat. And what staying in the back seat is as I sink down, I'm not forward in the balls of my feet. The feet are sinking evenly. The belly's drawn to that back. And that little bit of belly draw back makes my weight just fractionally more on my heels than on my toes. Again, that pull through the umbilicus is what makes the shift. So it would be entirely even if not for that pull. That pull in the belly draws me back just a little. And then to compensate for that, the knitting of the clavicles and the splitting of the back creates a very slight forward force. Instead of the drawing back to the belly, the drawing front in the rounding of the chest, and following that rounding as I sink, the arms raise very slightly to the middle. There's no best place to have the hands. They can be very, very low if you want to just work on the shape of your stance. They can be more Dantian level if you want to work on the breathing and circulation through to the belly. If you want to work more on the physical aspect of it, they can be high and relaxed at the upper chest, okay? If your upper chest, it's very important the elbows are hanging. The elbows are still low in the other positions. It's just less noticeable because the hands are at a similar angle. Good. As we sit in this post position, the first thing we want to go through is our postural checklist. Again, making sure those toes are very slightly engaged. The belly is what's drawing us back. The clavicle knit is what's raising the arms, and the head neck raise is stopping us from collapsing in upon ourselves. The stance depth should be engaged middle stance, so deep enough that you feel those quads online, not so deep that your knees feel in any kind of jeopardy. The tongue is raised to the soft palate of the mouth. And hold. Good, Pam. Make sure that you're using that draw from the belly to help that back be straight up and down, relaxed. So you can keep those hips in frame. Good. Good, Craig. Make sure your fingertips are in a line. There you go. And through your shoulder injury, relax the breath. And again, the whole body yawn. Feel that stretch and open through the tissue as you try to extend in whatever path your body needs from your center to your fingertips. It'll be different on your healthy side versus your injured side. We can use the one to kind of inform. Arms sink as the body rises slightly. Pulling the weight into your right foot. Feel that cross-body lift with the belly engaged to the back. Raising the hip as it draws the shoulder. Spooling the leg up through that dantian. And setting down. Breathing in. And out. As we close, right hand over left for more yang masculine energy, left over right for more yin feminine energy, and roll. And as we roll, again, it's not just the hands scooping in a circle. Use that roll to ascribe the shape that one day we hope our dantians will follow. Even if you don't feel it yet, get used to the idea of trying to find access to that belly in every part of your day that you can. Changing directions.